Hello and welcome to our Success Stories webinars hosted by GoLean6Sigma.com. I'm Tracy O'Rourke. I'm a managing partner here at GoLean6Sigma.com, and we are very excited to have this offering for our learners because this is where the rubber meets the road. This is when we talk about real projects that have been implemented within an organization, and we want to share those stories with you. So today we're highlighting a really great project success story from King County and how the Treasury Department reduced taxpayer late fees by 62%. Doesn't that make you feel good if you're a taxpayer? They're doing some good stuff in King County. And our presenters today are Anna Schoenecker and Laura Wilson. So here's pictures of Anna and Laura, and I'm going to go ahead and share a little bit about both Anna and Laura. So Anna has worked for King County Treasury for almost 14 years. She is the current real property administrator for the Property Tax Office, leading the customer service and property tax foreclosure units. Prior to working for King County, Anna worked for several years as a manufacturing engineer in the automotive industry in Mexico, her native country. She just completed her Greenbelt certification this past January with this project. Congratulations, Anna. And she's a firm believer that there's always room for improvement, and she considers herself an open-minded person, always willing to find and try a better way to complete a process. Awesome. So now let me tell you a little bit about Laura. So Laura has worked for King County for almost 12 years, and she's been in Treasury for 6 of those years. She's currently in the position of Fiscal Specialist 3 in the Property Tax Foreclosure Unit. Prior to working in Treasury, she worked for the King County Sheriff's Office in major crimes. Well, that sounds interesting, Laura.
It was.
And she has 20 years of work experience in mortgage lending as a senior loan processor and underwriter. She's also received her Greenbelt certification in January, and she's always interested in process improvement. And she also believes if you have to touch an item too many times or if something seems harder than it should be, there's an opportunity to improve. Welcome, Anna and Laura.
Thank you.
We're really excited to hear about your project, and I really am excited for you to share this project with your audience since I got to see the results of it. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys take over and tell us about your Greenbelt project.
Okay, well, our project was taking care of reviewing the extended payments deadline on mail blowbacks. So you might ask yourself what a blowback.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's a good thing.
It's not. Pretty much what it is any return mail coming back to us for different reasons. So they were unable to be delivered to the intended recipient, so it came back to us.
So let me make sure I understand. So you try to get a hold of a taxpayer through the mail, and it comes back undeliverable. Is that correct?
That is correct. This is our executive summary, and we completed this document as we progressed through the project. The first part asks us to identify our business case, and pretty much what we do is every year, biannually in May and November, notifications are sent to our taxpayers when their mortgage company fails to make a current payment. This is what we call a zero paid mortgage letter. We inform them through this letter that their taxes hadn't been paid as expected by a lender. So the letter grants them 30-day interest and penalty waiver from the date of mailing. Now, unfortunately, if the mail was not able to be delivered, and it came back to us, they didn't have the opportunity to do that or to take advantage of it. we wanted to extend that opportunity to everyone, as part of our initiative as equity and social justice.
So the data showed that the unprocessed mail blowbacks contributed to taxpayer dissatisfaction. Taxpayers ended up paying later and larger delinquency fees. We knew this because we received telephone calls from our taxpayers. And the question always came up, well, why didn't you try to find me? If you received return mail, why didn't you take that extra step? And they also told us that it wasn't fair. And so we just heard that over and over and over again. And that was one of the driving forces behind our project.
Very customer focused.
Yes, definitely.
That's what we're trying to do.
So some of the solutions that we implemented, we created a new process. So basically, our mailroom would collect the blowbacks or the return mail, and they would separate them out and put them in a tray, a mail tray. And then they would put them in one of our manager's office where they would just simply sit. And so, we saw this year after year, and we wanted to do something with that mail. We figured that there was a great opportunity to reach these taxpayers and make a change. And so basically our old process just kind of stopped with the gathering of those in the mail tray. So we walked the process. We talked to our mailroom, our management team, to find out why this process was there. So what we did is we created a new process that extended that, and we created the standard work for that. We provided a package of training and communication to our customer service staff so that they could continue the process in the future. We gave those materials to the new process owners. We conducted training, and we enabled customer service staff to complete online research through a legal data resource website.
Our data collection showed us that during the year 2016, we had the return mail for that year. We had 252 pieces of return mail. We did some research about those particular property owners, and we found out that in average, the taxpayer paid in average $409 in delinquent interest and penalties. Also, they paid about 3 to 6 months later than the actual scheduled deadline. So obviously, our property owners were quite upset because it reflected and, it hit their pocket. It was a financial pain. We decided to work on the project, and the results that we saw, we were able to locate almost 95% of the property owners. We got their mail returned. And when we extended the notification, sent them the bill and the mail to the better address, we received, what we noticed was that they paid in average $156 compared to the $409 and the previous year. And then our taxpayers also pay earlier. Instead of paying an average of 6 months, they paid an average of 3 months. So of course that, makes you feel good. We were able to locate these people. We were able to provide them the extended deadline. They paid with no delinquent fees, reducing their financial burden.
Nice. They must have been very happy with that.
Yes, they were. And, we probably didn't get a call saying, hey, thank you for doing that. But we got calls complaining about the county not doing anything. So that's what we want.
And so are you hearing from people less now because of this, because you improved the process?
Definitely.
Most definitely, yes.
That's wonderful.
Okay, so we'll move into the next slide, our project charter. And this document pretty much walks you through our project, how we started, on our goal, what it was included in what was inside our scope. There was another project also focusing on name and address updates along with ours, but that was more IT software related, so we did not touch that. This was a completely separated project, also trying to reduce return mail. So we make sure that that was explained and said in our charter. It provides you with our timeline and our team members, of course. The takeaway from the way we build this project charter is that, it's definitely worth doing. Following the steps and completing the document allows you to, at a glance, understand where you are and what is next in your project.
Okay, next we completed our SIPOC. Our suppliers were our internal data, the mortgage company tax roll, the taxpayer, the assessor's office that we work closely with, name and address information and data. We worked closely with our revenue collections area, our mailroom. The inputs we had were from taxpayers and also closing documents from our recorder's office, a request for payment information for calls, tax data, and address information. Our process was our zero pay mortgage by data letters that went out. So the process was we got the information from our IT department on which mortgage paid parcels were delinquent. We printed those statements. We staged and mailed the statements. We received the undeliverable mail back, and then it went to storage. The outputs are the taxpayers paid interest and penalties, the taxpayer complaint, the taxpayer request for review of interest and penalties resulting on refunds request. And our customers are the taxpayers. And the customer requirements were to be offered an opportunity to pay with no interest, penalties, as other taxpayers in the same situation did.
Very nice.
One of the most important reasons we decided to take this project or work on this problem was the voice of the customer. So the matrix is brought up all the different complaints that we receive from our taxpayers. And that's probably what drove our project the most. So this matrix shows the different situations that we have and how it translated into our project. Pretty much what it said is, there's no process after you receive those return mails back into the office.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what the takeaway from this is the taxpayer doesn't really like us to have a passive response. They want us to be proactive and do something about it. And that was the intent of our project.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we have our assets detail map segment. It's pretty much the same thing Laura explained on the SIPOC. As you can see, the end on the right is the end of the process after we receive those return pieces of mail and they get stored. That was it. There was an absence of process after it. And we move into the measure phase.
So the data collection plan, basically we used an Excel spreadsheet. We documented a sample source from the 2016 returns. We then created a new Excel spreadsheet for the data collection of the 2018. We noted the parcel number, the date that we returned it, the date that they paid it, the amount of interest they paid, if any, the total amount paid, and the number of months it took them to pay it. So in our key takeaway, we learned that no improvement is too small, and even small changes have a large impact.
This is our baseline chart, interest and penalties paid. Some of them paid incredibly high interest and penalties. Of course, those interest and penalties are a percentage on the original tax amount bill. So the more expensive your bill, the more expensive the interest and penalties. And as you can see, some of them went over the $1,600 just in late fees.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. So some as high as 1,000, some as high as 600.
Correct.
That'd be a reason to be unhappy.
Very much so.
Yes. And this one, it's the representation of the baseline, but time-wise, the number of months that they were late. Some of these taxpayers did not realize of their delinquency status until the following year notification.
Wow.
So they were, as you just say, quite upset. Yeah, that's our taxpayer pretty much.
So what would happen if they were that late? How late? What's the consequence of being that late?
So the consequences is obviously more interest and penalties. Some of them were as late as a couple of years after that. They didn't realize it.
And
it's kind of out of sight, out of mind.
so what would happen as a result of not paying these taxes? What would be the consequence to the taxpayer?
Well, an immediate consequence, if you realize of the delinquency within months, it will be simply, more money. It will cost you more, interest and penalties wise.
Mm-hmm.
But if the incorrect information stays in our system and we are unable to notify you for a number of years, you might end up and later on getting a notice of foreclosure. At that point, when a property is delinquent enough to be in foreclosure, we do have to locate you somehow.
Right. So you're basically saying not only are you avoiding late penalties, but you're avoiding potential pre-foreclosure steps.
Correct.
Or even foreclosure steps where they would have to pay, in addition to the interest and penalties, a foreclosure fee of, say, $2,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, then they'd be really angry, huh?
Yes.
No idea.
Good, thank you.
Okay, so we move to the analyze phase. We use our fishbone diagram, and we review the process. We went through the system, the current system, and obviously the head of the fish is the taxpayer, pays interest and penalties because no notice was received. So we identified the potential root cause, and what we found out is we determined that, sometimes something needs to be done. Just receiving those back, sending the notice is not good enough. If those notices are coming back to us, we need to add to the system, and we need to make sure that we complete the cycle and they get the notice and they get the same opportunity as all the other property owners.
Yeah.
The same.
So our map segment showing analysis, again, it showed that we weren't doing much with the blowbacks after we received them back. Key takeaway again was process analysis showed the need for addressing those return notices.
So they would just sit in a pile until the following year?
Or maybe even a year after that, or, 2 years.
So they were stored, but that was it. Nothing was really done with them. So we completed the current state value added flow analysis, and to determine, time-wise, in this case, we measure in minutes, the different process steps. So what we found out is that the taxpayer had to wait a long time before realizing their taxes were delinquent, and obviously it reflected in financial pain, interest and penalties having to be paid.
Yeah, that's a very interesting analysis related to the customer.
So the root cause hypothesis, we had several, and we actually did find that our hypotheses were true. We did the process walk to confirm these. We looked at data, research, our findings in the end supported our root cause hypothesis.
That's always helpful. That's what we want. We want to make sure that the root causes are true.
Right, definitely.
So using that information, we move into our improve phase. And so what we have here is the selected solutions, is our matrix showing the different possible solutions to our identified problem. We talked to our clients, our customers, and spoke with them about the different solutions. We determined that the potential solution was in our hands. If you look at the LexisNexis to recent change in personal information, so we determined that we were able to implement that, and it was something that we'll be able to complete in-house.
Okay, so our to-be map segment, the key takeaway on this is the additions of the 2 steps to the original process made a huge difference to the taxpayers. So taking those notices from the mail tray and working them had a great impact to the taxpayer.
Yes, and I think what I like about this too is we always talk about Lean and Six Sigma, reducing steps in a process, but you guys added steps and
yes,
and improved the process, which is really the right thing to do. You're right sizing it for the customer requirement. So that is, I like it because it's a testament to say you're not always removing steps.
Right. But, in the end, the overall process as far as complaints, as far as rework down, years down the road, or a foreclosure problem, those are eliminated. So by adding a few steps, you do decrease future steps and the overall happiness of the taxpayer.
Definitely.
And this is the improved state value added flow analysis, which includes the new 2 steps. True, it will add time to our process, but the improvement to our average interest and penalties paid and the delinquent time was very significant compared to the amount of minutes we added or we spent on these 2 added steps in our process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the added process is really not that complicated. The resources are available to our office, and again, it makes a big difference to our taxpayers, who are our main concern.
So the bar chart showing improvement is my favorite page. It really shows the difference of the amount of late fees paid by the customers. From 2016 of $409, we were able to reduce that down to $156, and the average months paid in 2016 was 6 months, and we were able to reduce that down to 3.5 months. So this had a huge impact on the taxpayers again.
Yes, absolutely. A lot less pain.
Much less pain.
I think taxpayers would agree that process improvement should be happening more.
Definitely, yes.
All right, so let's move to our control phase. How did we
Sustain
close this project, or how we sustain the change? Well, it is very important for us that the staff members that are going to be conducting this search every year or twice a year understand what needed to be done. They were trained. Well, first of all, we explain all these steps, all the process, on additions to the process. We explain the work added to it and our need to pretty much pass it on to them, because it's their process is part of their job. Fortunately for everyone, time-wise, this project or these added steps to the original process comes to us during our not so busy time. So it allows them to work this during the regular day. There's no need for additional time for our staff members, no overtime or anything like that. They were given access to the database online to locate our taxpayers, and it worked like a charm. They were very receptive of all the additions to the process, the training. So we provided all the information, and they were able to actually see the difference by not getting those frustrated phone calls. They were able to actually confirm that our project made a difference.
That's very exciting. I love projects like this.
All the time. So we feel like we made a very big impact on the taxpayers' side without really adding to the burden to our employees here in the office.
Okay, explain this picture. I love this.
So the tray on the left-hand side are the 177 blowbacks that we received originally in 2018. Out of those 177 blowbacks, we were able to find every one of these people except for 18.
Wow.
Yeah, that was huge. That was beyond our expectation.
And so how were you able to find these people?
We did these through a couple different steps. We checked our sales records with our recorder's office to see if there was a current sale of the property or current ownership change of some sort, say either by an inheritance, a sale of the property, different things like that. We took a look at a data website that we have access to that has current information on people to see if there was a better address. That's a very good resource for us. So basically through those two, we also have for companies, so we have individual taxpayers, we also have companies that own property. So there is, through the Secretary of the State of Washington's office, we can access their information. They have to file annually with the Secretary of State with the new address and everything like that. So we access that website. Through all of those different resources, we were able to find pretty much more current information on each individual person or company that owned those parcels.
Very nice.
Any questions?
So what was your favorite part about the project?
My favorite part is finding the people.
Yeah.
That's really fun. You know, you kind of feel like a detective a little bit, tracking down these people. And it's really rewarding finding them, sending them out, that opportunity to pay without interest and penalties, and then getting a positive response back. Basically, you know, their payment of their taxes without interest and penalties. And then also knowing moving forward, because we did send out a mailing address confirmation form. So they had to confirm their new mailing address. And so our records moving into the future were updated with their current address.
Very exciting. How about you, Anna?
Well, Laura's quite good at finding people, I have to say that. Well, to me, it's improving the process, giving our taxpayers the opportunity, you know, just like everyone else. Life happens, and sometimes you don't think about paying your bills, and getting something in the mail reminding you of your obligations sometimes is, you know, it's good because you might not be thinking about that. So I feel like providing the customer an equal opportunity, and it's a way, I know we are collecting taxes, but it's a way to tell our taxpayers that we do care about
Definitely
the money.
So has completion of this project, completing your Greenbelt project and using DMAIC, has it changed the way you look at things?
Yes, it has. You know, if we are experiencing a problem now coming constantly to us, or you're seeing something that might be a problem, you immediately start thinking about, okay, so why is that happening? How can it be done? How can it be improved? Is there a way for us to do something? So yeah, it definitely changed your way of seeing and thinking.
How about you, Laura?
Definitely. I also think that it encourages people around us too. They saw us working on a project. They became involved as the new process owners after our project was finalized. And I think that encourages people to start thinking outside of the box, start thinking about improvement. So
yes, absolutely.
They feel encouraged to come to us and say, hey, you guys, maybe this should be done this way, or maybe instead of doing this, we should do it this other way. And, you know, their contributions are great because they're the ones in the trenches.
Definitely. Well, thank you for answering my questions. So I'm Tracy O'Rourke. You're listening to the Golding Six Sigma Success Story, highlighting Anna Schoenecker and Laura Wilson. I want to thank you both for sharing your process improvement project today. And I want to also thank all of our listeners for joining us as well. If you have any questions about this presentation or about how to apply Lean Six Sigma, just contact us. And don't forget to download any free tools and templates on our website. So if you have any more questions, go ahead and ask us at contact@golean6sigma.com, and feel free to peruse anything else we have on our website. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us today.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you.